What is up, Sopranos fans? Kino here, and I am back with another Soprano log. Today we are looking at the 5th episode of the 4th season, Pie Oh My. Now, the title of this episode comes from the fact that Ralph bought a horse from Hesh named Pie Oh My. It's a racehorse, and the racehorse actually lost the previous race. Tony suggests that instead of going to the front of the race immediately, they hold the horse back until the very end and then try to shoot ahead. And this strategy ends up proving to be a success. They win the race. Ralph wins a lot of money. And he gives some of the money to Tony in appreciation for his strategy. So they're all very happy that the horse won. Meanwhile, Adriana continues to be pressured to inform on the mob by the FBI. They go to a meeting and they actually inform her that she's going to be working with a new agent. And she's actually sad that Danielle or Deborah is leaving. I think it's a case of, she's familiar with Danielle, and even though she feels betrayed by her, she still feels more comfortable with her because, they shared so much stuff over the time they knew each other. But she's growing increasingly paranoid that they're going to figure out that she's an informant. She tries to avoid going over to Tony's or interacting with him in any way. And she doesn't like the fact that the mobsters are hanging around her club and using her office. One, because they don't pay for anything and they're disruptive. But also, again, she just doesn't want to get caught. And also, she doesn't want to know more information that she now has to turn over to the FBI. She talks to Christopher actually about them, leaving the life and maybe moving away to California. But he refuses. He's really devoted to Tony right now because of the fact that Tony told him about his father's killer. And also, he's continuing to use drugs. So, we can see that, he's not really stable right now either. He's got the drug thing going on, as well as the increased responsibility that Tony gave him. Meanwhile, though, Janice has broken up with Ralph, and she decides that she wants Bobby for herself. She's his neighbor, so she sees his house, and she sees that Jojo Palmese, who is the widow of Mikey Palmese, going over there to bring food. And she interrupts and goes over there herself to, make sure that they're not getting too close. It's pretty obvious that Jojo wants Bobby as well. Now that she has no husband, she's looking for her next, husband. And Janice can't let that happen. So she ends up taking the food that Jojo gave Bobby and giving it to Uncle Junior instead, just to make sure that Bobby doesn't enjoy anything from Jojo. But while she's over there, she learns that, Bobby was supposed to do something for Uncle Junior. It's a union issue, and that he's losing Junior's trust because he's so focused on his own grief. Now, Janice can't let that happen. She wants Bobby to be an earner, to be an important member of the mob, if she's going to marry him eventually. So she talks to Bobby and tells him that, he needs to get his act together, he needs to get back to work, or else he risks losing everything he's worked all these years for. So this manages to get Bobby out of his slump. He goes and meets with this union delegate and threatens him into voting for the person that they want him to vote for. And this brings him back into Junior's good graces. And when he's talking to Junior, Junior actually warns him against Janice. He says that, the food that Janice has been bringing isn't her own food. She's a terrible cook. But Bobby doesn't believe him. He thinks he's just being negative. And this is going to turn out to be a mistake for him because, he should have listened to Uncle Junior. Uncle Junior knows Janice and knows what a terrible person she is. But meanwhile, Carmela wants Tony to put aside money in a trust for the family. She's really worried about what will happen if he's ever killed or arrested, and she wants the family to be taken care of so that she doesn't have to work. Tony talks with his accountant, the guy named Ginsberg, and Ginsberg warns him against signing a irrevocable trust because in case that Carmela divorces Tony, which is definitely a possibility, she'll still get the money. It's irrevocable. So Tony refuses to sign the trust, which really pisses Carmela off. And he also refuses to invest in stocks for them until it's too late. So we can see that they're fighting right now about the financial situation. Meanwhile, Pie Oh My continues to win races, but Tony demands a greater and greater share of the winnings. He even starts to refer to the horse as their horse. So we can see Tony's kind of claiming ownership over Ralph's investment, even though Tony's not paying for anything. Ralph has to pay for everything. And Ralph is getting increasingly annoyed at the veterinarian bills. The horse has a lot of problems, and he sees the costs mounting, and the fact that Tony's taking the money too means he's not making a lot of money off this horse anymore. And one night there's a storm and it's raining pretty heavily, and the horse gets sick. But the vet refuses to treat the horse until Ralph pays him. And, Ralph has had enough of this, so he refuses to pay and instead tells them to contact Tony. Now, we know, of course, Tony loves animals way more than people, and so he agrees to go down there and pay the veterinarian costs, and he ends up sitting with the horse and comforting it all night. And so we get to see that side of Tony that, he's an animal lover, and, despite all the horrible things he does have that one redeeming quality, which is he really cares for these innocent creatures. But yeah, that is the episode Pyomai. Hope you guys enjoyed the Soprano log, and stay tuned for the next one, coming soon. Thanks. Special thank you to my patrons for allowing me to purchase a racehorse. Invest in my family's financial security. Yeah, that's what I meant. Hunter, Tommy Smith, Abdallah Alamari, George Jones, Russell, Sean, Graham Faveng, Rooftop, Rico Bellick, Heart of Markness, Broccoli, Isaiah, Placenta Juan, and Logan.